Chapter 8. The Bazaar. Air gazed out of the carriage window, taking in the sights of the underwater city. The days of Ka were not much brighter than the nights, but the silver light that blanketed the capital was nonetheless enchanting. She admired the rose-gold leaves of the oak trees, which shimmered under the faint rays of Noor. The sun wasn't nearly as bright as the piercing light of Nahar in Sialas, but it was still a beautiful sight to behold. It was a glistening gem that radiated warmth in a city filled with cold-blooded monsters. Earlier that morning, Air had received the news that her work would commence the following day, allowing her some time to acclimate to her new surroundings. Taking advantage of the extra time, she decided to visit the Zulem Bazaar, where a Karabatica named Felix was set to meet her, according to Stellan's letter. Jan gasped and pointed at the sky. Look! Several flying carpets painted the heavens, their colours blending into a dazzling kaleidoscope against the watery sky. Dancing with a grace that left Air spellbound, the carpets were a sight to behold. Some were adorned with jewels and intricate designs, while others seemed to change colours as they moved. They weaved and circled through the sky, like a flock of radiant birds, leaving ephemeral trails of sparkles in their wake. Jan nudged her. We should have taken one of those instead. We don't have enough coins to spare on a luxury ride. It would have been way faster than this slow-ass carriage, he muttered. How far is the bazaar from here? He asked the carriage driver, who, unfortunately, happened to be a Chetan. The woman's grip tightened around the reins, and the lilac flames covering her head flared, casting an eerie glow on her dark purple skin. According to the information Air had gathered about the enemy race over the years, the lilac flames did not give off heat or sound, except when the shaitan decided to attack. Air bit her lip, recalling what the guards had said about hearing a man's voice. She leaned in close to her brother and whispered, "Don't talk to her." When the driver did not respond, Jan repeated his question, this time louder. "Great." Air shook her head. Her brother's insistence would get him killed one day. A muscle in the Chaitan's jaw ticked, and she said, between gritted teeth, "Tell your slave woman that I do not speak to males." She practically spat out the last word. Dropping his voice an octave, Jan said, "Does hearing my voice bother you, lady?" Air smacked him on the shoulder. "Keep your mouth shut before she eats you for lunch." Jan let out an exaggerated sigh and looked away. Thankfully, he did not engage the driver in conversation again. As they passed an orchard, Air's attention was drawn to two young girls, embracing each other affectionately beneath a towering mulberry tree. Such a display would have faced severe consequences in Silas, where homosexuality was considered taboo and seen as a misuse of the kingdom's reproductive potential. As they continued their journey, the scenery transitioned from orchards to a bustling cityscape, where more women expressed their affection for one another in public. The carriage eventually brought them to a halt at the towering iron gates of the Zulem Bazaar. A pair of giant cat-like creatures stood watch by the entrance, their corpse-coloured skins laid taut around wiry skeletal frames. Air had noticed a few of them at the palace the previous night. Once they were out of the carriage, Jan stepped by her side. "Am I the only one who thinks these cats are ugly?" "They are shadow guards," called a voice from behind. Air and Jan turned to find a tall man in a grey robe shuffling toward them. His face was concealed with a hood, and thick chains held his ankles close. Jan whistled. "Finally, I get to meet a man." "I'm Felix," the man said, stepping closer. He scratched his wrist, drawing Air's attention to the silver tattoo of Noor there. It was a beautiful contrast against his deep brown skin. The Karabatica gestured to her braid, which writhed and twisted like the restless creature it was. "It is a pleasure to finally meet the great healer of sealers." Air smiled. "The pleasure is mine." She glanced at her brother. "This is Jan." "Pleasure," Felix said, and Jan responded with the like. "So why can you walk freely without a chaperone?" her ever-curious brother asked. Felix chuckled softly, flicking an invisible dust off his broad shoulder. "As one of the esteemed servants in the royal court, I enjoy certain privileges. The palace has allowed me to show you around and inform you of the capital laws." He pointed to the sky where a dozen coppery balls floated in a straight line. "Royal Pukans, here to monitor the city. Although they can't hear anything, they can capture soundless Taz-Weirs." Air picked up on the unspoken message. "Be careful around them." He then waved a hand toward the bustling bazaar. "Ready?